Hello everyone and welcome to Avantika Designeering Series or ADS as we like to call it. Every week on Wednesday, we feature design and technology leaders who share their professional journey, their thoughts on their domain of work, and designeering where the world of design and engineering meet. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And with that, let's continue with your show.
In the last few years, we have observed a staggering growth on popular OTT platforms worldwide. People are moving from conventional sources of watching content to something that specifically caters to their needs. These personalized experiences are created by having a customer centric approach towards design and understanding the user's needs on a deeper level. So, how can designers create inclusive and interactive experience that are unique for every user? To know more about this theme, in this episode, we interact with Priyank Sharma, Head of Design and Experience at MX Player and MX TakaTak. With over a decade of professional experience in various markets, he holds expertise in user interface design, web design, leadership, people management, and much more. And that's why, on our journey of discovering designeering, we talked to him about the experience Webisode. Hello, Priyank. Welcome to Avantika Designeering podcast series. It's an honor and pleasure to host you on our show today.
Thank you, Rohit. Pleasure to be here as well.
So, Priyank, as our icebreaker question, for a designer to be successful, they must be able to invent and create. And if you want to do the same, they also need to be stable and in a comfortable state. My question is, can you tell us about any of these strategies that you use to ensure that your design remains effective in the light of, say, the current design trends?
Sure, Rohit. So, Rohit, in general, the design industry is notoriously known for being capricious. And, this is an evolving beast that kind of requires close attention, not to just the mercurial trends, but also on the overall change that is happening all around us. You see that all the time. A designer also at the same time needs to have a well defined intention and mission with their design. Everything a good designer does stems from their crystal clear vision. Also, about trends, they all come and go, but it's very important if you keep in close contact with how behavior and expectations of users keep changing all the time for your product. Now, this can happen within a team where everyone is on the same page only. You cannot be on different pages, right? You cannot be misaligned. Again, setting the right expectations and processes and encouraging everyone's unique ideas is what actually allows me to be relevant and stable at the same time. I also go ahead and organize design sprints on a regular basis. Now, this thing actually encourages the designers in the team to rethink their own designs and come up with newer and better alternatives or experiences to what we currently have. And these formative exercises is what helps me make a substantial repository of good quality ideas.
Wow, that's interesting. Priyank, could you highlight a little bit more on the design sprints that you run? What do you exactly do? How do you, go through the process? What is it that the participants experience? Can you help our listeners understand, or and give us a small little, say, an audio trailer of how does your design sprints look like?
So we pride ourselves in being highly organized as a design team. We are proud about the fact that we are one of the few teams in the country or probably globally that work on Jira. Now, Jira is essentially known for being used only by the tech industry for bug fixes, for adding new features, for incremental stuff. But we actually have modified and tweaked Jira to work in our benefit. All our sprints are based on Jira. This allows me to be very effective in terms of managing who's doing what. In general, a design sprint for us includes a few sections or processes, as you might call it. We begin from doing user experience for every single feature that we receive from the product team. From user experience, we move on to user interface. From user interface, we move on to motion design. So the three parts are very integral to the success of any experience that we craft. Obviously, user experience is done together with the product team. There's a huge overlap over there. That's where the strategy of every feature happens. The strategy, the user testing, if time permits, it happens over there. And from there, the user interface is where we actually add color, we add typography, we add iconography, we make the whole visual come to life. And then an important aspect of every feature is the last stage, which is motion design, which seems to be not given that much importance in the industry. Motion is what adds delight to everything you build. It brings about that human connection of a feature.
Absolutely. I've seen interesting surge in the usage of motion graphics these days, and it adds to the entire drama, to the entire element in terms of more, building up that story is what I feel. And moving from, the stories that motion graphics create to your story, you have over a decade of experience in various markets, including advertising, e-commerce, media, television, and telecommunication. Now, over the years, you've collaborated with some of the most well known OTT channels and media companies as well. Can you take us through your professional journey? How did all of this happen? Was it as seamless as it looks like on your LinkedIn profile page? Or did you stumble upon something? You got lucky in certain areas? How did all of this happen?
So everything is generally not as good as it looks. There are definitely challenges. I actually come from a breed of designers who were known as web designers. Back in 2005, when I actually started my career, there was nothing such as user interface, user experience. It was a very nascent industry where UX and UI, the terms hadn't been coined as yet. And my interest in web design goes way back before my career started, probably back to my school days where I would just do it as a hobby. But yes, I was deeply interested in that, and design was something natural that I wanted to pursue. Going back to the design industry, back then it was majorly a service based industry where everything was outsourced to agencies. And organizations never really thought of it as a key integral factor to their product or service success. Slowly, but there was an evolution that was happening, which enabled design to move from a service based model to eventually becoming a pillar for any product or service, which we can see happening right now. And similarly, for my own professional journey, I started in agencies and slowly transitioned to products and services. I naturally followed the evolution of the design industry in the country. For example, in 2008, I was probably helping Yahoo with their ad formats and ad selling and branded chat interfaces, while in 2010, I was helping build an e commerce company from scratch. 2014, again, there was this big trend of having responsive web, and I helped Vodafone do that, which was long overdue for them. My breakthrough really happened when a tiny bunch of us at Star India launched this project called as Hotstar. The seriousness and timing of the app helped us become the number one OTT back then. And it was only a couple of months that we gained about 100 to 200 million users. After Hotstar, MX Player was the natural next progression for me because it allowed me, or it gave me an opportunity to play with a user base that was probably 10x more than what Hotstar gave me. And it did take us some time, but yes, finally, MX Player is the leading OTT in the country. Now, the interesting thing in both Hotstar and MX Player is that both the products are design led. So, yes, experience over numbers.
That's interesting. In fact, while you speak about all of these OTT channels that you've been part of, MX Player is the fastest growing video player and one of the biggest streaming sites in India today. With MX original series, web shows, movies, sports, music videos, and all about entertainment now available in a single app. Can you tell us about the design work at MX Player?
At MX Player, the design team comes from multiple walks of life. This enables us to have a diverse and inclusive team, and in general gives us a larger perspective of humanity. This allows us to build great product experiences that entertain masses across all tiers and all demographics. In general, if you see, people are reluctant to change, but what we do here at MX Player is we keep on bringing newer experiences and try introducing them for the audiences. This encourages them to try new forms of entertainment. And while we do this, we keep it very simple as well, because simplicity is the key. uh, we've actually seen a lot of loyal offline MX Player users convert and become hardcore OTT fans. Folks who never had internet, who would only use MX Player as uh, a file, a video player, they are actually now streaming content. Now this behavior has been gradual and requires us to be very mindful when trying to convert and nudge users, but it is happening and happening in a big way. Again, creating a similarly delightful experience across different verticals, because MX Player is generally, it's an entertainment app. It's not OTT only. We have music, which is audio. We have the offline player, which I spoke about earlier. Now we have games, and we also have short video. So having so many verticals inside the same app is kind of a challenge. And to make sure users do not feel they're using separate apps, we need to very carefully craft the experiences and ensure users feel at home at all times.
Hey, did you know MX Player has recorded over 500 million downloads and it is the number 2 app in the video players and editors category of Google Play Store with a rating of 4.5 out of 5. Wow, that's interesting. That's like putting in so many solutions in one product out there and addressing so many problems at one go. In fact, moving from MX Player to the other product, Google Play named MX TakaTak as one of the best apps of 2020. Although the success has not been easy for you and your colleagues, it's a product of the relentless creativity that your teams have shown. It is innovation that acts as a catalyst for both manufacturing and technology. The question that I have is, how did you blend concepts of awareness, technological feasibility, and industry strategy to speed up innovation for MX Takatak?
Yes, this is a really interesting story actually. The entire success of MX Takatak is actually a product of right timing. And also, to add to that, relentless passion by all the teams to help make the next generation short video platform. So basically, when TikTok was banned in India in early 2020, we took only 8 days to release this short video app. Now, doing something like this in a week needs absolute perfect collaboration across all the teams: product, technology, design, and of course, late nights. But you already know that. Uh, and like I mentioned earlier, we need to have a laser focused vision of the product. Only this is what allows us to iterate quickly and release fast. We've been doing that ever since we launched. And this is kind of a never ending cycle where constant improvements are needed every single week. Again, Sourcing qualitative insights about the user behavior is what keeps us on the right path at all point of time. And we need to be aware about the areas of improvement because it's an ever evolving product. We want MX TakaTak to be a one stop shop for all your short video and content creation needs. And to realize this vision, there are so many pivots to reach, to the design that you see today. Again, the change has been noted by the creators and they respected our commitments to provide them a stellar creative experience. And they are loyal to the platform. Within a year, we have close to 25 million content creators who are actually loyal to our platform.
Wow, what is interesting is that, doing this entire thing in a span of nearly a week's time, that's quite exciting, and must have been a very interesting experience, Priyank.
Yes, it has been. I clearly remember when we heard the news that TikTok is going to get banned, and that probably presented us with an opportunity to fill the void because TikTok is an amazing product and it has a unique user base of millennials. We wanted to fill the void because this time we knew the ban is going to be for a longer time, and MX Takatak turned out to be the answer for that. So yeah, I mean, it has been very interesting to build something from scratch in a very short period of time.
And now, moving from your journey and the stories of MX Player and TakaTak to the world of design. In fact, while we talk about design, the first thing comes to my mind is design thinking. And the basis for it is putting the users at the forefront of all that is achieved and every aspect of the product itself. In fact, having a customer focused approach, Priyank, becomes a crucial foundation for determining what elements of the product add value to the customer's existence itself. The question that I have is, how do you know the features in the product that are most valuable, and how do you amplify your strengths while gracefully suppressing, say, the unpopular features? And I'm sure that you go through a lot of this in your design for MX Player or TakaTak. So how do you get into slicing and dicing this?
Customer centricity for me is the first value in the overall set of values that we have at MX Player or MX Design, as we like to call it. Customer experience is put above everything else for us. Everything else is secondary. To ensure this, I set up a dedicated user experience team within the design function. Now, this team is solely responsible for knowing the needs and behaviors of our users, and they know it more than anyone else. The team organizes monthly user research sessions, which aids our knowledge, not only designers, but product managers, but engineers, everyone. The exercises bring behavioral data, industry reports, customer reviews, as well as social signals for all of us to understand and be aligned. Having such a well informed and holistic approach to understanding our users aids me to create product features that strike the right chord with every set of users, no matter from which tire they are coming from. And all our features released are classified as hypotheses till we verify their success with the right set of KPIs. Because without verifying, there is no success. We at MX Player define global and local KPIs and track them for each of our feature releases. This actually gives me a much needed reality check of what's working, what's not working out there with the users. Again, due to a large volume of traffic that we already are blessed with, we can reach statistical significance in probably less than a week for most of the cases. This aids us immensely to understand what works and what does not work. And yes, it helps us to evolve quickly.
Interesting. In fact, one of the other elements that I've seen about any OTT platform or all streaming services are focusing on what's called as super serving their users through hyper personalization. It obviously requires building deeper user insights, increasing agility and flexibility to respond quickly to user preferences, say at scale and real time. The question that I have for you is, how can we tailor a better personalized experience so that each user will experience content in a unique way?
Our team at MX is constantly working with cutting edge machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies and whatnot. This allows us to offer the most personalized experience possible to every single user on our platform. Now, this not only stops at machine learning, it also requires the design team to create beautiful product experiences that is, in fact, respectful to users' preferences that they've set up and also adhere to their mental models. Clearly defining personas for each vertical allow us to define features that stem from the deeper psychological needs of each persona. If I have to share an example of any such personalization, then a great candidate would be probably the auto renaming feature in music section in the local. So what it does is a lot of people have random names to their local audio files, and it's very difficult to figure out which song is what. Instead of doing this manually, we made it very easy for users to just tap a button, recognize all the songs, rename it at a single click. This not just delighted our users, but also encouraged them to use MX Player often and longer, and probably make it their primary audio, uh, audio app.
Interesting. In fact, while talking about the OTT industry, it is booming with around 3.5 million new users, especially during this lockdown period. And it combines the reach and power of traditional pay TV with the scale and flexibility of the internet to create an unstoppable force for content creators, content distributors, and brand everywhere. The question that I have for you is, how can OTT brands transform themselves from a youth centered platform to make it more age inclusive, geography inclusive, and interactive product out there?
In my opinion, the key to be more age and geography inclusive in the OTT industry is to offer content that everyone experiences and it excites them. Excites everyone. For example, our recent show Ashram has been a huge success. Now, while it was polarizing for sure, but it connected well with all the age groups, no matter to whom it was targeted to. Same is the case with MX Games. Here we see so many personas beyond the youth actually playing games and engaging so much more, winning money on the platform. We actually need to look at this as a generational change rather than an experience update, probably. It requires a mentality to create a truly inclusive product experience. Now, our aim at MX is to build the best experiences for the next billion users who are actually entering the world of internet from all walks of life.
So, while talking about communication and entertainment applications, I think one of the cues that we could take from this, Priyank, is conversations are at the heart of relationships. It provides an opportunity for relationship building, to win a new customer or strengthen bonds with your brand's long-time fans as well. My question is, how can designers create a better conversational user experience that build better relationship between the brand and its customers?
Sure. So, conversational UX is of very high importance for any app that is as vast as MX Player. If users cannot understand the product and its offerings, then it's practically not working for us, and probably not working for them as well, because they will never remember it. And if they do remember it, they will probably end up leaving it. Uh, MX Player is home to millions of loyal long-time users. This is actually a result of setting up effective processes for UX writing. Now, UX writing is a very important thing that we do at MX Player. Every single line of text that you see across the app experiences is carefully crafted to ensure that there is a conversational experience between the user, that a user feels welcome when they use the product, and it eventually affects the brand overall. At the same time, our marketing team also is kind of doing a stellar job at engaging users on touch points outside the product experience, across our social channels, our marketing channels, above the line. We make sure we have a similar exterior of simplicity and friendliness infused into our product. So both of them work together hand in hand because it's really important. It's very essential. I personally make sure that our product copy is friendly and puts users to ease whenever they read it, whenever they interact with it. This goes a long way to help users easily understand MX Player as a product. And once the user understands, there is organic engagement, which is 10 times, 20 times more than what we have today.
Hey, did you know MX Player has now gone on to win two record setting honors at the grand finals of the Asian Academy Awards, being the only homegrown Indian OTT platform to win at an Asia level? Interesting. And while you've been talking about it, one of the things, Priyank, that we definitely cannot escape is the world of technology, and how there's an interesting alliance which is being made. In fact, the alliance between humans and machines is something which has just got started, and human decisions are essential to define the preferences between, say, the several scenarios that exist out there. But it seems inevitable that machine learning's predictive capabilities will soon replace, say, the human skills in routine tasks. The question that I have for you there is, what are some of the new opportunities designers will gain from harmony between machine learning and humans, especially because you land up using this while designing your products or services?
So I have a very unique opinion on machines, aligning with humans. So while machines or artificial intelligence may overtake most of the jobs that we have today, or most of the skill sets that we have today, I think design is a very unique thing which does not necessarily work on logic all the time. For example, the law field, or probably engineering, coding, all of these are based on logic and can kind of function independently without human intervention. But design is where there is a lot of emotion involved, there is a lot of illogical thinking involved, which kind of gives us the edge. At MX Player, machine learning has been at the forefront of product development. We use it to suggest content, personalize. We do a lot of A B testing to figure out what works best for us. Do these ads really work, or are users finding it irritating? And this helps us narrow down to the best possible experience that we can provide to the users. I think in general, machine learning capabilities have also unlocked us to provide an added layer of features for users. Like the one I was talking about earlier, the file renaming feature. And, uh, designers have now a much wider gamut of possible experiences that they can provide thanks to machine learning.
Interesting. And while we keep talking about machine learning and technology, one of the other interesting trends is that of AR, VR, MR as well. In fact, designing a seamless, believable virtual reality or augmented reality experience requires deep understanding of how the technology really works and its range of capabilities and how humans perceive different aspects of immersive experiences itself. The question that I have for you is, what are some of the new frameworks, patterns, and techniques that user experience designers need to learn for expanding their careers in virtual reality, augmented reality, or mixed reality?
I personally haven't experienced much with VR, AR, or MR as such, but this is something that I'm definitely looking forward to in 2021. If you ask me, I believe that immersion is the new engagement. With humans having really shorter attention spans, immersive experiences will actually provide designers an infinite room for creativity, especially in VR. If you say you've gotten the user to commit enough to wear the VR apparatus, now that's a big thing. It is unheard of in modern app experiences. But due to this restriction for having an infrastructure or an apparatus for VR, I think most experience innovations in upcoming years will be happening around AR and MR, because these are pretty easier to solve and are local, requiring less investment. Finding relevant use cases within your product to provide an AR experience is hard. Every product will not have a use case, and you shouldn't just offer it because it's a buzzword because everyone is doing it. There needs to be a relevant reason and a relevant usage pattern of users to have AR within your product. It needs to serve a problem that other form of experiences or representations are not able to solve for your product. For example, furniture apps or furniture brands are using AR in a very interesting way. They actually let you visualize how a certain furniture that you're interested in buying will actually look like in any part of your home. So, this definitely beats product images any day. But if you don't have a relevant case to use AR, VR, it will be a mistake to shove it down the user. So probably not to do that and be a little mindful, uh, when you move ahead with it.
Absolutely. I completely resonate with what you're saying. I mean, it is very important for organizations to ensure that the use case is relevant. It is making sense for the users to have some of these tools to engage with the product better, to experience the product or the service better. Otherwise, it's completely useless. Completely resonate with that one. And that brings me, Priyank, to the last question for on our show. At Avantika University, we've coined this term called as designeering, which is the blended approach of design and engineering. The question that I have is, at your workplace, at what you do at TakaTak and MX Player, do these terms converge and meet at the same point? Are you also designeering?
So first of all, I love the term designeering. Uh, I resonate with it as well because, like I mentioned, I come from a breed of designers called web designers, where we would also code and not just design. So coding is something that I naturally do. And to answer your question, design and engineering are essentially two faces of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. Both have to work together seamlessly because both need to understand each other. For example, engineers, when they code experiences, they need to understand the value of why we doing, why we building this experience. And at the same time, when designers are designing experiences, they need to understand the practicality or the execution of the designs that they are making. So both of them go hand in hand. Both need to understand the value of customer centricity. And if your design and engineering teams work together like we do at MX Player, you definitely create magic. You get the best of both worlds, creativity as well as technology.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Priyank, for doing this conversation with us. It was lovely hosting you on our show, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you. Thank you so much, Priyank, for doing this.
Thanks, Rohit, for having me. It was an absolute delight talking to you and sharing my thoughts with all of your subscriber base, all the users globally. Thank you so much.
Hey there, we hope you enjoyed our show. Do write to us on ads@avantika.edu.in. We look forward to your opinions, feedbacks, and suggestions of speakers you would like us to host on this show. Do tune in our channel next week on Wednesday for a new story on Hubhopper or wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.